In this video, I will go over how I figured out the paint color for the well deck areas, the C deck superstructure lighting, the superstructure glass for the windows on B and C decks, and another trumpeter error is discovered. This is part 9 of my Trumpeter 1 to 200 scale Titanic build series. The lower half of the bulkheads and crane bases in the well deck areas and the well deck side walls are painted a color called dark mass. Since the Trumpeter kit does not have good references for the color of parts, I needed to figure out the color of paint to use in the well deck areas. This color was known as dark mass according to the TitanicCADplans.com website in the article entitled An Examination of the Color Dark Mass Found on Titanic. When looking at the old color photos of ships with this color in the dark mass article, it reminded me of an orange rust brown. So I began the experimenting of mixing colors to find the color to match the photo. It took 20 tries, but I think I got it close enough. I got the color by mixing 5 parts white, 2 parts red, 3 parts orange, 3 parts wood brown, and 3 parts yellow. There may be a better formula, but I couldn't find one, and the picture shows my results. And the paints I used are Model Master paints. Next, it was time to add glass to the windows of the Superstructure C and B decks. For the B deck square windows, I just used 7/1000 inch clear plastic strips and glued them to the inner wall using micro crystal clear glue. For the C deck portholes, I just used micro crystal clear glue. For the inner cafe windows and second class smoking room wall with photo etch frames, I used micro crystal clear glue also. Now, I did not put the glass in the square A deck windows at this time because the 7/1000 inch plastic strip may interfere with the installation of A deck. So after A deck is installed, then the windows will be installed. Part A12 is the aft bulkhead of the forward well deck area. In some old videos of the Olympic, one can see that the portholes of this bulkhead have glass in them and are not closed up as part A12 shows. So I drilled these portholes out and filled them with micro crystal clear glue. Part A9 is the forward bulkhead of the aft well deck area. I used the Ponto's windows instead of the kit windows here because the kit windows look more like grills than window frames. I like the window frame look better, but I have not confirmed which window is really accurate. Next up was the C deck superstructure lighting. To light C deck, I used single density LED strips placed in the long channels molded underneath B deck on each side. This consisted of 45 LEDs on each side. To reduce lighting hotspots, I put the LEDs on the ceilings of each deck. With part A9 at the rear of the superstructure and part A12 at the front of the superstructure glued in place, I could add deck lighting to these parts also. I used two 402 SMDs for the A deck lights and wired them into the M4 deck lights. Next, I placed a small strip of single density LEDs at the front behind part A12 under B deck to light the portholes located in part A12. I then installed two 402 SMDs to part A12 to serve as deck wall lights on the aft well deck bulkhead. To connect power to the superstructure, I made 2 sets of terminal junctions using aluminum tape. I drilled 4 holes in each junction, slightly less in size, for a number 6 machine screw. Then I hot glued number 6 nuts on the bottom of B deck so that I could secure the screws tight in the terminal junctions. With the screws in place, I could now hook up the wiring for the C deck lights and connect main power from the hull. One terminal junction will serve as power for the 402 SMD lights for the entire superstructure, and one will power the LEDs for the entire superstructure. When I test fitted a deck to the superstructure, it was slightly too long and did not fit in part M4 and the rear of the second class smoking room bulkhead part B8. So I ended up sanding off about 1 millimeter of the front edge of the A deck to get it to sit correctly in the superstructure. Not sure if this is a problem others have had or I just did something wrong, but it was an easy fix. Now for the Trumpeter error discovery. The forward grand staircase should be present on the boat deck part S1, just like it is on the A deck part R1 and B deck part Q1. This staircase is missing on the Trumpeter kit's boat deck part S1. The problem starts with part T1, which sits right under the boat deck in this grand staircase area. The picture shows where one needs to cut a hole to make room for the staircase. The square box I drew gives a rough idea of where the staircase hole must be cut out in part T1. Since the B deck aft grand staircase will not be visible, I cut it out to be used as the boat deck staircase. And in this picture, it shows the final cut opening that the staircase will protrude through from the boat deck above through part T1. And this picture shows part T1 sitting on the A deck to show the A deck staircase lines up with the new opening above in part T1. Now I got so involved in this fix I forgot to take a picture of the boat deck without the modified hole. So this next picture here shows the boat deck temporarily in place and the hole I opened up to match the hole in part T1 below. And here is the final result with the staircase temporarily in place on the boat deck to see what it would look like. The gap behind the staircase is part of the original molded hole in the boat deck and will be filled in later. Now when the skylight is put in place, one can look down through the skylight and see the staircase. So that's as far as I've gotten so far. Next I will be working on the A deck lighting and glass in the windows and some painting. So until the next video, have a great day.